Tonight on The Reno Show, I'll be revealing the 3 things to consider when styling your home for sale. Denise is back with us to help you manifest your dream project and make it a reality. And we've got all the highlights of our first real renovation story. Beaumont Tiles are here to show us how to grout your tiles and how high should your ceilings be. Rowan is giving us his top tips to make sure your ceiling heights are legal. Welcome to The Reno Show.
Hi guys, Naomi Finlay here. Are you stuck with how to best use design principles at the selling stage of your renovation? Do you want to find out a little bit more about what it takes to style your property for success? Design principles can include using things like balance, size, proportion, and even lighting to make your property really stand out. After all, these are the things that will help you create that emotional connection with your buyer. And when you have an emotionally invested buyer, these are the ones that are going to be hitting target on sale day. These are the ones that are going to be giving you your greatest profits. So today, I want to take a step into looking at exactly how you can use each and every one of these principles when you're styling your home when it comes to going to the market. Now, one of the key elements of the home staging process is styling the property for sale. Home staging is your opportunity to showcase the property and show your buyers its true potential. Now, this stage can be a little tricky because there's a lot that can go into it, from lamps to carpets, to rugs, to cushions, to fresh flowers, scented candles. Oh my gosh, there's so many options out there for styling your home. With so much choice, it's no wonder that some of you write to me saying that you're a little overwhelmed. But before you throw in the towel, you need to remember the following, that it's not overwhelming if you break it down into workable steps. So, should you go pro? Should you get a professional home stager to help you? If you do choose to use a professional home stager, then a lot of the hard work will be done for you, let's face it. It's still a good idea though that you have a general feel and an idea, a targeted idea of who your end buyer is. And you work with that home stager to make sure that the look and feel of the property is in accordance with the renovation and the end buyer. Now, if you decide you're going to tackle this solo, that you're going to go alone, then it's even more important to make sure that you know how the design principles will work with your property. You want to make a very clear picture of the style, the look, and the feel that you're trying to create. Why? Because it will mean the difference between potential buyers walking through a place and being a little interested, or walking through a place and thinking, oh wow, this is the place I want and I want it now. If this is your first time flipping a property, I would suggest that you consider using a professional home stager. Not only can the whole end process of taking it to market be just a little bit stressful, but you could also learn a lot of good things from an expert professional home stager that you can potentially use in your project after that and after that. But at the end of the day, you have to balance how much you already have on your plate, how much more you can handle, and how big your budget is. The key word here is being effective. There is no point in self-staging your property if it means you're not going to give it the proper time and effort that it needs. And if you end up getting it wrong, it can absolutely hurt your end profits. So regardless of which option you choose to take, how do you use these design principles I've been talking about to make a killer first impression? Now note this one down, KISS. Keep it simple. It's the best way to make sure you're not going overboard with your style. Now, over-the-top chandeliers with gold trims and running ivy, oh my gosh, none of that. Unless you're going for some random eccentric Venetian look, which I can't imagine is any target market or many target markets in our country. But also remember that you do want to create a wow factor. You don't just want the furniture and the decor to be sitting there, and you also don't want it to outshine what you've already done. Instead, you want buyers to walk in and be able to connect with both. You want them to walk in and go, I can't wait to cook in that kitchen. Oh my gosh, the kids are going to love their rooms. I can't wait to be in that outdoor space. After all, those buyers are house shopping. They're not furniture shopping. On the other end of the scale of keeping it simple, that doesn't mean that you go Japanese minimalistic or the ultra stark end of Scandinavian. And again, unless that's a specific style that you're after, you need to find that middle ground. You need to appeal to all of your target market and offend nobody. So your property does not need to be filled with designer decor, nor does it need to be overly humble. Keep it simple is all about finding that sweet spot. After all, if you're offering a family home, you want to show the buyers that they can use each of these spaces to the fullest potential of that family home. And a lot of the time, that means working within the budget that a family will have. So please don't be too quick to dismiss our large chain stores that have some very simple, very cost-effective items, decor items that won't break the bank. You know what? I guess an analogy is if you give an artist a canvas, some paintbrushes and 3 colours, they can create a masterpiece. So you need to be the artist. It's not about you, it's about your market and about what you can create. Which leads me to my next point, okay? So position and style is king. I want you to imagine this. A home stager shows up and gives you a whole truckload of beautiful furniture and daycare to fill a living room, right, of this property. There are 2 couches, 2 armchairs, 2 coffee tables, 2 lots of books, 2 lots of flowers, 2 lots of everything. They've made sure that all of the furniture suits the style and the colour scheme of the home that you're looking to stage, but you're left to make the choices, picking between each of the 2 items and positioning completely up to you. So how are you going to go about deciding which pieces to use and when to put them in and where? Now, remember to leave your emotions at the door. This is absolutely not about you. You have to look at the space, you have to look at the items and work out what will work over the whole property. Think about it like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle where everything will mesh together perfectly. So when you take one of those couches, how will it fit in the living room? And I don't mean how will it fit through the door, how will it look in the living room? Where will it be placed? How does it impact on the rest of the space and the furniture and the look and feel? Are the buyers going to walk in and feel that the home is welcoming, or are they going to walk in and feel that it's cramped because the couch is taking up most of the space or in the wrong position? Now, if you get the couch in the perfect position, you then need to move on and look at the rug. Which one of those rugs will complement that lounge and complement that living room? And then the coffee table, and so on and so forth. And just because you have 2 side tables there at your disposal, it doesn't mean you have to use them both. If you feel that that space is perfect the way it is, when you only use 1 side table, there's no reason to cram in more furniture just for the sake of it. And lastly, you can actually direct your buyers through the room with the way you place the furniture. If you block a doorway with a couch, not literally, potential buyers will find it frustrating and may even think that the living room is much smaller than it actually is. Use the furniture and use home staging as a way to bring out the best in the property, as well as direct the buyers towards the spaces you want them to see most. Become the traffic controller of that open inspection. And combining these things will make sure that each and every time you stage that home or have it professionally staged, that you will be selling that property for more. Okay, next we have with us Denise Duffield-Thomas from denisedt.com. And we're going to be talking, Denise, about something that I think everyone who has ever renovated can absolutely relate to. And that's the impact that our family and friends have on our renovating journey, experience, and sometimes the end product.
You know what, it's not just renovators. I've noticed this when people start a business.
Yes.
They want to do something like write a book, or we've got a friend who upped her whole family and travelled around Australia in a caravan with her kids. Yep. Anytime you're about to do something a bit different or a bit out of the norm, or maybe something completely different to what your friends and family do, they're not always going to be positive about it.
Or different to what you have done yourself. And so
Absolutely.
it kind of, even though it's not happening to them, they're like, oh, this isn't like you. You don't usually do this.
Absolutely. What I find too, that when people come to renovating, they've generally they've been seeking something for a while. I don't know if you found
yearning.
that. Yeah, so maybe you've been reading blogs about, doing something different, or you've just been inspired by a TV show, or maybe you've even been going to seminars.
It's so funny you say that. The stories that I get told for people when they've finally sort of gotten that amazing release of being able to renovate, whether it's their own home or another home, I binge watched every single episode of Selling Houses Australia, or oh my God, I've watched every single blog you've ever released and I've read every book.
Absolutely. So what generally happens is when you find the thing that you want to do and get really absorbed into it, I find that people aren't always supportive of that, because suddenly, especially if you're in a job while you're renovating on the side, suddenly you don't have time and energy to bitch at the water cooler anymore. That's what happened to me when I was starting my business on the side. The people were like, you're not as fun anymore at work because...
Sorry, that's actually hilarious. Or how come you don't have time for coffee every Sunday? Or it's like, oh, I've got a concrete slab to set.
Exactly. And you might be, if you are in a job at the moment, for example, you might be spending your lunch breaks like talking to tradies and doing all this stuff. And so you'll find that people are kind of like, what are you doing? Or you're not as fun. I remember a friend of mine said to me,
you're not as fun anymore, Denise.
Yes. When I started doing things on the side, like, starting my business and renovating houses and things like that, I had a friend saying, I don't like this person you've become. Honestly, and I was like, what? Motivated and really in love with my life and so excited about all my projects. It was because I didn't have time to take her calls whining about her life anymore, about she was looking for something and couldn't find it. And so just be aware that when you start getting so excited about your new projects, not everyone is going to be thrilled for you, and it can feel really isolating at the start.
So what are some of the biggest ones that you've seen come up? So there's the you're not fun anymore, which I'm actually finding quite funny. You're not really that fun anymore, Denise. And what are some of the other ways you've seen it articulated so people can identify it?
Especially this could come from your parents, where your parents could be really worried about you maybe quitting your job to renovate full time. And, it could be
or
like...
spending too much money on your mortgage. Can you really afford that extension, sweetheart? Even when it's on your own home, can you really afford that?
Totally. And like, honey, are you qualified to do that? Like, or what... what about your degree that you spent so long on? And you're like, I don't want to do that anymore, So it could come from your parents, and it could be very well-meaning. It's concern trolling.
Okay.
It's people like, I'm just concerned
worried
about you, that it's not
the right path. Too?
Yeah, it's like, honey, I'm just worried that this isn't the right path for you, or what do you think you're doing, or is this really going to work out for you?
Or what happens when the world ends tomorrow and your renovation's half finished?
Absolutely. So there's going to be people who are very well-meaning but not necessarily good advice. So here's what I think you should do.
Okay.
This is what has...
So when someone comes up to me and goes, Naomi, you're not that much fun anymore, what do I do?
Well, first of all, you need other people to talk to about your new passion. So you have to make sure you have a mentor, for example, because they will understand and appreciate what you're going through. But also like a network of people. When I went into entrepreneurship for myself, I didn't know any other entrepreneurs. So I kind of did feel like the black sheep. Then suddenly I was like, oh my God, there are other people who do this as well. Oh, there are other people who are at Bunnings on a Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Or there are other people that are here at Bunnings with my PJ pants on and my thongs because I ran out of sandpaper.
Absolutely. So you've got to find your community, whether that's online, which is great if you live somewhere
regional.
Remote, which is where I actually started finding friends online who are interested in the same things I did. And then slowly you find real life friends.
Absolutely.
And then you don't feel as alone, and then you're not going to feel like you only have your friends and family to talk to, and you're also not going to be as affected by the negativity of other people really questioning what you're doing.
Because someone can relate to it then. They can go, oh yeah, look, my dad told me that the other week, that there's no way I was going to be able to build a deck and I should just move on, honey, it's not what girls do, for example.
Exactly.
You'll find someone that literally has had the same thing said to them.
Yes.
So it normalises you a bit, doesn't it?
It does. And I think the other thing there is don't take advice from people who haven't done what you want to do. Yes, like I remember, being at a family gathering and like my Uncle Bob for example, and Uncle Bob.
I wonder if she has an Uncle
No,
Bob.
I don't.
Okay.
But, you know, they'd be like, oh, I had a friend who did that once and they went bankrupt. And you can take that to heart if you don't have success stories.
It can actually hurt, to be honest with you. You can be like, oh, what am I thinking?
And you start to question if you really, like, if your dream is realistic.
If your vision for your own home or your vision for your project, whether, am I dreaming?
Exactly. So don't take advice from people who are not qualified to give you advice.
I like
and
it.
that goes for people who are not even, have never done it themselves. Because, you know, there's always those armchair kind of critics who are like, yeah, well, I'd like to do that too, but, you know, whatever.
I can't do it, so I'm going to slash her dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or people who might have even done it like 20 years ago.
Yes.
You know, so make sure you're only taking advice from people who are in the game.
Yes,
With
fair call.
you and who are successful in it, you know.
I like it.
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry. And once you've got those things in place, when someone at a party says something to you or your friend or whatever, you brush it off because you've got success stories in your life, you've got friends you can talk to.
And you've got examples
Yep.
of other people doing it successfully as well.
Absolutely, and then you've got a mentor who you can talk to about stuff like that too.
I like
All of
it.
those things will shield you, no matter what you're doing, whether it's renovation, starting a business, going traveling, whatever.
So that for me is a key word. I just is the shield. So you're
Yes.
never going to stop this. Like you're never going to stop the comments. But what you do need to do is arm yourself with a shield so that you can deflect them, you can let them hit the shield and just wash away because you're okay with where you're at.
Yes,
I like
exactly.
it. All right. So if you do have a dream for your amazing home project and renovation, expansion or transformation of your own place, or you're wanting to do a project external to your own home, beware of those dream snatchers.
Snatches, exactly.
Dream snatchers around you. Surround yourself in like-minded people, get yourself a mentor, and always be armed with your shield. Thanks so much again, Denise. I hope all of you are going to grab a shield and get to chasing that dream. I'm very excited to have on the couch with me tonight for our Real Renos, Fiona. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So last year you completed a really kick-ass renovation of a property, right?
I did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell me a bit about it. I know that it was a really quick renovation. How long did it take?
I think it took about 6-7 weeks-ish.
Okay, so that was fast.
It was fast.
It was real fast. And so this wasn't to keep, it wasn't your own home. This was one that you're literally doing for wealth creation.
Exactly.
Okay, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
For profit.
For profit.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. As long as our intent is clear. All right, and so tell me about what you did, or by the look of the photos I've seen, what you didn't do. Was there much you didn't do?
No, not really. So we painted inside and out.
Yep.
We put in a new bathroom.
Okay.
Completely gutted and redid the kitchen.
Nice.
Found some space to squeeze in a dining room.
So you value added. So it didn't have a dining
Absolutely.
room?
No, it didn't. It didn't.
I like it. And all under the existing roof line though, or did you extend?
No, all under the existing roof line.
Fantastic. And from what I can see from the photos, little to no structural change.
Yeah, correct.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Now, one of the things that I didn't get to see on the photos, so I might have to get some more from you.
Okay.
Did you at all address the inside, outside? Was there an outdoor living space? Was that there originally if you added one? Like, tell me about that.
Yes, we did put in an outdoor living space,
Fantastic.
which wasn't there. And so we could open up the back and it was awesome.
That is very cool. So that's a pretty quick reno. 7 weeks.
Yep.
You
It
say
was pretty
proudly.
quick.
It was pretty quick.
It was quick.
All right. So tell me about, I guess, the biggest things you learnt from doing that. If there were novice renovators watching this right now that are going, man, I want to be able to smash out a reno like that. Like, what were your biggest things that you learnt that you'd love to share?
Okay, so some of the biggest things were getting...
Did you notice there are multiple?
Getting your neighbours on side.
Okay, tell us a bit more about that.
So one of the neighbours next door was a shift worker.
That's tough.
Yeah. And so when we wanted to power tools and work on weekend...
Even though it was within the time?
Even though it was within the times, being a shift worker.
He was sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of customer relations going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting the neighbours on board was a big win.
Great tip.
Yeah.
What else? What was another big learn?
Another big learn, managing our budget as we go.
So in real time,
In
like
real
as you're
time.
spending.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So there's no little surprises that pop up.
All right. So that tells me that maybe some parts along the renovation you were like, oh, I wasn't sure we'd spent that much, or okay, so you prefer to keep on top of it and manage it each and every week. Would that have worked better for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. They're great tips. So customer relations with our neighbours, make friends.
Correct.
And make friends with your budget.
Absolutely.
Really good friends.
Really good friends.
Especially when I guess you're doing it for profit.
Correct. And you're trying to do it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 weeks goes like that.
It sure does.
You can't
really
be waiting
does.
to the end to assess your profit.
Correct.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your renovation.
You're welcome.
I look forward to having you back with your next one on.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having me.
Pleasure.
Grouting time. You only need a small amount of water when you're mixing grout, because a little bit of grout goes a long way. When you mix it, what we're looking for is the consistency of toothpaste. Massage all the grout in the grout lines. To wash off the excessive grout, use a squeezed out sponge and wipe on a 45-degree angle. Once we've finished our primary wash and it's dried off, squeeze out a sponge of water and then simply wipe the tile. Turn the sponge around and wipe again. Repeat this process throughout your whole wall. We're up to silicone. Squirt the silicone inside your internal corners. Use a smoothing agent over the top of it and then cut it back with a paddle pop stick. It's very important to use silicone because it is an expansion joint. If you use grout, your grout will only crack over time. Last step, spray some more soothing agent and cut it back with your finger. That gives it a nice smooth finish. For any more hints and tips, download the fact sheet off the Beaumont's website. And all the best for any DIY job you have at home.
Now, there can be few things more devastating than when you take your property to market or you have an agent or a valuer come in to give you a valuation post-renovation and they turn around and they say to you, Rowan, sorry, that's not a habitable space. And most people are like, what? What do you mean it's not habitable? It's got walls, it's got windows, it's got doors.
Yeah.
I can live there, I'm short enough.
In fact, I have lived there for the last 3 months of my renovation. What are you talking about?
Exactly. But there's more to it than that. There are legislations around how high our ceilings need to be deemed habitable. And it's really important to check around the country, for example, state by state in regard to if you are on selling your real estate laws, because there are all different laws around whether you can market a habitable space or not. So I know a property that I once sold, I renovated and flipped it. Its downstairs space was 2.5 centimetres too short to be deemed habitable. So it was a downstairs space, so I made it into like a rumpus room den, but I couldn't spend too much money on it because for the wrong buyer, they would have gone, not habitable, not part of the footprint, doesn't count. So that wasn't actually, in that property, it wasn't actually able to be marketed as a second living space. It was only able to be marketed as storage space. So check that in your local state and your real estate laws. But what we're talking about here today with Rowan, expert and know-all, tradie and chippy, is, man, what's this about habitable spaces?
Habitable
and
spaces,
ceiling height?
yes, and ceiling height.
Hold on, though. There can be some works that you might be doing to a property that don't need certification.
No, that's true.
And so, for example, in that one I talked about, I literally painted, I carpeted.
Didn't change it at all.
I redid a kitchen. There was no structural change.
Yep.
So I actually had no need for a certifier in. I actually knew when I bought it, it was not habitable. Otherwise, I knew that.
Yep.
But a lot of people mightn't have, especially when it's literally 2.5 centimetres.
Yeah, that's
and so people, if you're going to be doing even a cosmetic renovation or looking at a house to buy, even if it's your forever home, you need to be really aware whether the spaces in it are habitable or not.
And you can find a lot of this stuff out online, or you can just make the phone call. A lot of people are quite happy to give you the advice over the phone. You just get a quick overview of what's required, and they can set you on the straight and narrow pretty quickly. So yes. So in answer to your question, legal ceiling heights,
right?
Habitable rooms. They are dictated by the BCA Building Code of Australia to be a habitable room is somewhere like a living space,
a
bedroom,
yep.
Music room, a rumpus room.
Yep.
Although you hang out in the kitchen a lot, believe it or not,
heaps of
believe it or not, it's not deemed under legislation to be a habitable room. So they're saying that you don't spend a significant amount of time there.
In the olden days, maybe.
Yeah. But now we live in the kitchen. So
that's right. So what's the legal ceiling height there?
2.1.
Okay, which is substantially different.
Very much lower. That's another foot. That's another 300 mil, roughly lower. And you'll know yourself, ceiling space can massively increase the feeling of space inside a room. So
absolutely.
Yeah. But
and does it drop lower than that?
Well, it can do, but it depends on the purpose of the room. So if it's a storage room or something like that, or it's a specialist room like an attic space or something like that, there's other legislation that that comes into play when we're talking about that, and you can get special dispensation for that. 2.2 metres, for example, on a stairwell from the top of a tread to ceiling height is the standard legislation there. Ceilings in attic spaces, there's a bit of grey area there, but in general, 50% of it has to be at least 2.1 metres. So yeah,
because often, obviously, it's
they're on the rake and things like that. Yep. So, but yeah, when it comes to non-habitable spaces and habitable spaces, check your figures because it can come back to bite.
So this can be fantastic in a couple of ways, really. So from my perspective, when you're house shopping, this can be an amazing bargaining tool.
Absolutely,
a huge bargaining tool. So if you, for example, are in a state where or this is the national code, so that's a no-brainer. But for example, I know that that it's not okay to really market an extra bedroom. For example, I went to a place the other week. And they marketed it as 4 bedrooms and 3 living areas. And so the first bedroom, I'm like, yeah, it's a bedroom. Second bedroom, I'm like, oh, it's a small bedroom. Third bedroom had no window, which is another kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Another kettle of fish we'll cover another day.
Yeah.
So not habitable space.
Not a habitable space.
And the next bedroom was probably a 2-metre ceiling, if that. I'm like, not a habitable space, dude. And the agent was floored. He's like, what do you mean it's not a habitable space? It's a bedroom. I'm like, it's not a habitable space. I will not buy this as a 4-bedroom. It is a 2-bedroom. Funnily enough, the third and second living space, I could touch the ceiling. I'm 164 centimetres high.
Yeah.
So that's not a high ceiling space. So what was being marketed as a 4-bedroom, 3 living space was actually a 2-bedroom, 1 living space with a pile of bad extensions.
Yes.
And so it goes both ways. Powering yourself with this knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
In this circumstance, it really is, because you've got to remember, even if you're like, oh, it doesn't matter to me, I really want the house anyway, if for some reason you needed to on-sell it or even get it valued,
or get it certified, because if you're doing more than a certain percentage of renovations, by default, legally, you have to bring everything up to code.
And so you're carrying the bag, is what we're saying?
Yeah, you could get left with the bag. So be really careful, guys and girls. Just check your facts and figures.
And know what you're getting into.
Know what you're getting into.
And you know what? Let's put a positive spin on that. Use this knowledge to get better bargains, do better renovations, and have more fun.
Screw them down.
Ta-da!
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask you, am I looking at the camera or am I looking at you?
So you can look at the camera and you can look at me. So next we have with us Denise. That's what I have to do after every blooper. That's a mutual love fest here, Daniel.
Take 2.
And have more fun.
Screw them down. Too much?
Gold. Gold. Okay. Oh, it's like your mother-in-law. You have to look it up
Yeah.
and acknowledge her.
Okay, cool.
But then we talk. That was a fun one too.
Yeah, that one felt short and sweet.
Woo!
Yay!
Next time on The Reno Show, Jen from Interiors Addict is sharing this year's top living room trends with us. Expert landscaper Aaron Simpson is showing us how you can repair the retaining walls in your garden. Our resident chippy Rowan is here to help us avoid stepping on exposed nails from your deck. And naturopath Tammy Guest is back to keep us fit and well whilst renovating. I'll be bringing you 3 must-haves for every room in your renovation, and Mark finally answers a question for us all. Does a swimming pool really add value to a property? See you next time on The Reno Show.
Remember to like and subscribe to our channel to receive weekly renovation and lifestyle inspiration. If you have a question about today's show, leave a comment below and we'll be sure to get straight back to you. Hey guys, have you heard about the amazing new renovation app? It is the Rapid RenoMate app for your phone, for iPhones and Androids, and it has just taken renovation to a new level of ease. It can track everything from your timelines to your budget, to your paint colours, your supplies and your tradies. It has truly transformed, streamlined and made the renovation process so much easier. If you'd love to get your free app right now, click the link below and download it immediately to your iOS or your Android device. Happy renovating!